Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen, and sometimes it can be a misadventure. Now, this is not quite a misadventure, but I'm tempted to scrap this whole video, and that's because I did this not once, but twice, and both times with two different recipes, it came out the same way. Now, I don't know what I did wrong, but I think it's my oven. So if you're an oven manufacturer, hit me up. I need a new oven. I digress. Today, we are gonna make monkey bread. I have made monkey bread all of my marriage. So for this to not have worked, I don't know if I'm just mentally not getting a step or what, but it did turn out in the end after I did some finagling. You'll see what I did. But I hope you enjoy this adventure with me, and I hope you'll make monkey bread because it's a fabulous recipe. You're gonna love it. There's recipes all over the internet for this. This is just mine. And like I said, I made it twice and both times. And I'm like, did I write it down wrong? No, I checked it against others. It's not wrong. It's literally just my oven. Unless you say differently. If you think that you did something differently whenever you make monkey bread, besides using biscuits, we're making our own dough, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, let's get to this adventure because I really love monkey bread and I want to share this with you. So let's get started. Here's what you're going to need. 1/4 of a cup melted butter divided. 1 cup of milk warmed to about 110 degrees. 1/3 of a cup of water also warmed to 110 degrees. 1/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast. 3 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, plus a little extra in case your dough is a little sticky. 2 teaspoons of salt. For the cinnamon and sugar coating, you're going to need 1 cup of white sugar, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1/2 cup of melted butter. For the caramel sauce, you're going to need 3/4 cup of melted butter, 3/4 cup of brown sugar. And for the optional glaze, you're going to need 1 cup of powdered sugar and 2 tablespoons of milk. All right, so in order to make this recipe, you're gonna need about a 4-hour chunk of time. No, we're not gonna be doing stuff for 4 hours, but this is a yeasted dough, so you do need to spend some time letting your dough rise twice. Now, you can do a cheater's version of this and just use canned biscuits like these ones right here. However, we're gonna make it from scratch because I wanna show you just how easy it is if you have a stand mixer and about 4 hours of time. So let's get started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add all of the dry ingredients to our stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can definitely do this by hand, but you're gonna be kneading for about 10 minutes. Even with the mixer, we're gonna knead for about 6 minutes, but by hand, it takes a little bit longer. So definitely utilize a mixer with a dough hook if you have it. So into the mixer, we are gonna put our flour, the yeast, the salt, and the sugar. We're gonna lift that up and we're just gonna mix it together for a second while I put away these bowls. All right, and once that's mixed up a little bit, we're gonna actually add in our milk, our water, and 2 tablespoons of that melted butter right into the mixer all at the same time. Usually I mix them all together first. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my warm water into my warm milk and my melted butter, 2 tablespoons into my warm milk, just so that when I add it all together at the same time, I'm not adding 3 different things. You don't have to, you can just add it in. Just make sure your butter is not so hot that it's going to kill the yeast. Everything needs to be about 110 degrees. So let's go ahead and get this started. And we're gonna turn it to like medium low, and then we're just gonna slowly add in our wet. All right, once all your wet stuff is combined, we're gonna turn it up to medium. And we're just gonna let it come together. And as soon as we see all of that dry incorporated into that ball, that's when we're gonna start our timer. Okay, let's go ahead and start our timer. All right, and while that's going, let's prepare our bowl for rising and our muffin tins. With the other 2 tablespoons of butter, I'm just gonna paint the inside of all of this. Same for the bowl we're gonna rise this in. All right, and at the end of 6 minutes, you will have seen your dough transform from sticky, wet, and gooey into something that is a little easier to handle. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pop this out And I'm gonna use my dough scraper here, and I'm just going to scrape out this bowl. All right, so this is what your dough should look like. It should be not sticky, but not sticky. So it's tacky, but it's definitely not sticky. So if you're on a pastry mat, it should be really easy for you to pick this up and move it around and see how it's kind of sticking to my hands, but it's not like so sticky. And if it is so sticky, we're gonna add a tiny bit more flour. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of flour, not much, and we're just gonna incorporate that in just a little bit. There, that feels much better. See, it's not sticking to my hands anymore, just like half of a teaspoon, and that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this guy into the bowl and covered with plastic wrap. Now, because I love my pastry mat, I'm actually going to just get it on my pastry mat and cover it with my bowl. I still grease the bowl because I don't know how big that dough is going to get. Sometimes it gets as big as the bowl. So now we're gonna leave this for 2 hours so it can double in size. It may take a little bit less time. It may take a little more time depending on how warm your house is. You can definitely speed up the process by putting it in a bowl and putting it on the back of a warm oven. However, don't turn on your oven and push your bowl all the way to the back because the heat that comes out of your oven will cook your dough instead of just helping it to rise. If you have a proving drawer, you could definitely use that as well. But we're gonna let it rise for 2 hours. So we'll be back. All right, the time is up, and check out the reason we wanted to butter the inside of that bowl. That expanded to well over twice its size. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're just going to spread it out just a little bit. You wanna kind of get some of those big air bubbles out, so just press it out. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna divide this dough into a whole bunch of little balls. So here in this bowl, I have my melted butter, and in this bowl, I have my cinnamon and sugar. So we are just going to kind of bite-sized balls, roll it up. We're gonna roll it in this, and then we're gonna roll it in that, and then we're gonna put it right into our pan. And that's it. We're just gonna do that to all of this. And you do want to make sure that most all of the pieces are the same size so that when it cooks, they all cook evenly. Guess I can also mention that you don't have to roll them into balls if you don't want to. You can just cut them into rough shapes and get them in there, but they kind of stick together a little less when they're rolled up for whatever reason. And this dough will make about 60 pieces or so, depending on how big your pieces will be. All right, last one in, and it should look something like this. All right, and now we're gonna take some plastic wrap, and we are going to plastic wrap this tightly around. So I'm using press and seal here, and we want it to be as tight as possible so that no air gets in there, and I want it to stick to that center part. All right, we're gonna put this in a warm place for another 1 to 2 hours. Yes, this takes a while, but after 2 hours, this should be pushing on that plastic wrap or close. All right, it's been 2 hours. Now it's time for us to make the caramel sauce. So here I have my brown sugar and the rest of my butter, and we are just going to combine it together with a fork, and then we are gonna pour it over the top. Now, this might get a little messy. So I have it on a tray because sometimes I spill all over the place and sometimes I don't. And I'm actually going to cook it on this tray so that if it comes up and out, again, I will capture the whole thing. So as you can see, they are nice and risen. All right, so here we go. We're gonna start drizzling the caramel sauce over the top. And you just wanna just put it on in there. Just be careful not to get it outside the pan. And as these cook, this caramel sauce will go down inside the sides of the pan. So just try to get it all in there. And once it's all on there, we're gonna get this into the oven for 30 minutes. Now I am going to use my brand new tick time timer here, and I'm gonna just put it in like this, and it's gonna be my 30-minute timer. Okay, at the end of 30 minutes, we're gonna let it rest for only 5 minutes before we turn it out. I'm gonna get it in. Look at that. And it's out. Okay, let's set our 5-minute timer. As easy as 5 minutes. See you in 5. All right, and while we wait for our last minute, I just wanted to reaffirm my decision to put it on this tray because I did have some leakage and one of these guys actually toppled out, but someone already ate it. So definitely cook it on a baking sheet. Okay, our 5 minutes is up. I turned off the timer. Here we go, the moment of truth. Let's do this. We're gonna tip this onto this first. Then we'll flip it over. Whoa, it's fine. It's just the caramel. There we go. It came out. You ready for the big reveal? Dun, dun, dun. Oh man, okay. Rude. That bread's not cooked. Okay, look what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna go like this, and I'm going to flip it back over on this pan and get it back in. Now, will yours be like this? I don't think so. My oven's having a mental problem, so I'm pretty sure it's just my oven, but there's no way for me to know. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna flip it over this way. What it's supposed to look like is this, but golden brown. So I'm just gonna get it into the oven like this, right side up, because at this moment that's a fail. And yeah, I'm just gonna get back in. All right, we'll see you after this is done, because that's dough. All right, you guys, and check that out. That is what yours should look like when you unearth it from the pan. Now, I have a confession for you. Yesterday, I made this same recipe. However, I thought maybe the recipe that I used wasn't my normal one, so I went and found another, and it did the same thing, which tells me that it's my oven and not something that I'm doing, because I used 2 different recipes and both of them, the tops cooked and the bottom did not. Now, I did do some research while I was away just to make sure that putting it on a sheet tray did not do that, and indeed that is not the case. So that being said, if this happens to you, just turn it over and get it in again until it is cooked all the way and looks brown, because now it looks fantastic. And it does really look fantastic. Doesn't that look amazing? Now it tastes amazing too, because earlier, like I mentioned, one fell off and I already ate it. And so the ones that are cooked are absolutely fantastic and taste exactly like they're supposed to. I'm gonna go ahead and pull one apart and show you. Now this is piping hot. You're supposed to wait at least 5 minutes before you turn it out, and then wait a little bit longer until you eat it, but I'm impatient, and so we're just gonna eat one like you're supposed to eat it. So you just pick it off, and as you can see in that close camera, ow, it's hot and it's nice and doughy, almost like a donut. It is so delicious, and it's a crispy caramel on the outside. Let's see if I can show you. Let's bite into it. That's exactly what monkey bread is supposed to taste like. That is so good. Everything about monkey bread makes me happy. So look at that. Oh, peel it off. It's delicious and so fluffy. If your oven works and you like caramel and you like caramel rolls, this is so much fun. You know what? Sometimes my adventures go exactly how I plan them, and sometimes they don't, but you improvise. And that's what makes me an everyday cook, and that's one of the reasons that I like to share these things with you, because sometimes recipes just really don't turn out the way that they should, and there's no fault of mine, maybe some fault of my equipment. We knew that the oven needed to be replaced, and we were hoping to baby it along, but it looks like we're gonna be in the market for a new oven. So, if you are an oven maker, oven manufacturer, and you would like me to review your oven, or maybe even exclusively use your oven in my videos, hit me up, because This is ridiculous. But that's what happens when you're an everyday cook with everyday equipment that sometimes fails. Oh well. All right, you guys, if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I do videos several times a week, and I'm always looking for the next adventure and sometimes some misadventures. But I'm always looking for the next adventure. So if you have an idea for me, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna serve this to my husband, and he is going to love it because he loves monkey bread. And that right there is a pretty dang good monkey bread. I'll see you guys on the next adventure. Bye.